Good afternoon and welcome. Take two. Good afternoon and welcome to the March 2020 meeting of the Finance Committee. It's a little rainy day over here in New York, but we'll get through it. I actually am sitting on this side of the table, Mr. Johnson, the gardener, looking out over the skyline, John. So, yes. Anyway, first up, Tracy's over there. I see Tracy. Yes, she's in Albany.
Yes.
First up on the agenda is the adoption of the meeting minutes from the January meeting of the Finance Committee. We did not meet in February, so I'm going to ask for a resolution to approve the meeting minutes from the January meeting of the Finance Committee.
So moved.
Thank you very much. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Tracy. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that's adopted. We have a number of offerings on the agenda. First up, behind tab 2. Actually, no, I'm doing the charter, actually. I didn't realize that. Okay. First up is actually adoption of the Finance Committee charter, which is behind the back of tab 2, as I remember. Yes, it is, in the back. Do I actually look for resolution to adopt it, or do I make a recommendation?
It's a recommendation.
And they approve it tomorrow. Okay, thank you. I hope folks have had a chance to review the Finance Committee charter. Are there any questions or concerns? Hearing none, can I please get a motion to recommend that the full board adopt the Finance Committee charter at tomorrow's board meeting?
So moved.
Thank you. Tracy, second. Thank you. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Thank you very much.
And just for the record,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, there were no changes proposed to the charter.
Yes, thank you very much, Portia. I should have mentioned that. We're looking at 4 resolutions. First, behind tab 4 is the Interagency Council of Developmental Disability Agencies, Inc. And who's going to present? Gerard. He's down the end down there. Thank you, Gerard.
Good afternoon. Mr. Chairman, members of the Finance Committee, I just want to give you a very quick overview because we did get a resolution to proceed and we did present to the Finance Committee in January. We're coming back to the Finance Committee because we have 2 additional projects which we're adding, and we're requesting an increase in project size and not to exceed amount. So understanding that, the transaction summary report provided to members is requesting the adoption of documents for the Interagency Council of the Developmental Disabilities. This transaction will include tax-exempt and/or taxable fixed and or variable rate bonds in 1 or more series at 1 or more times through negotiated sale and/or a private placement. The updates since the resolution to proceed in January were there are 2 additional projects have been added to the transaction, increasing the not to exceed amount by $7 million from $22 million up to $29 million. One of the projects is a TPA approved project for an existing participant and will increase their total projects to $2.6 million. The second project involves the addition of HASC Center and its affiliate HASC Diagnostic and Treatment Center. This project is a clinical project referred to as an FQHC, which is a federally qualified health center in the amount of $3.6 million. We've confirmed through the Department of Health that the project has CON and has been completed. We've also vetted this project to ensure that there is a revenue stream which will be intercepted specific to this project location. Combined, the projects will increase the not to exceed amount from the previously authorized $22 million to $29 million. Security features include a pledge of all public funds attributable to each finance project, a standby intercept of these public funds attributable to each project, a debt service reserve fund of 6 months, and mortgages on real property acceptable to DASNY where available. We've secured the following approvals since the January board. January 8 was our resolution to proceed. We received the PACB approval for the initial approval of $22 million on January 15th. We are going back to PACB for the approval of this second component for additional $7 million on March 18. TEFRA notice was posted on February 27. Our hearing is scheduled for March 6th, and our seeker has been completed on February 28th. And I would now defer to bond counsel for the review. Well, not now, but tomorrow. Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Ron. Any questions, concerns?
I had none, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Tracy?
Tracy?
None here either, thank you.
And I'm assuming, does this go through health or?
No, this is not. This is done under the DASNY statute. There is an IAC statute, and it does not go through the Department of Health. But we made sure that we brought Tracy into the loop, as well as I mentioned, we had vetted the project
Back in January.
with their rate-setting people to verify that we could intercept the funds.
Thank you. Can I get a
And we
motion?
confirmed that, Jerry, we confirmed that the project received certificate of need approval as well as, the revenue stream.
Thank you very much,
availability.
Tracy. Thank you. Can I please get a motion to recommend that this be adopted at tomorrow's full board meeting? Thank you, Tracy. Second, thank you. All in favor, aye. Thank you.
Aye.
None opposed. That carries. Thank you very much, Gerard. Next up, tab 7 is actually the SUNY dorm facilities revenue bonds. It's always nice to see a real dormitory. Anyway, Steve is the presenter. Thank you.
The Finance Committee is being asked to recommend the full board to adopt documents on behalf of the State University of New York Dormitory Facilities Revenue Bond Program to refund all or portion of various DASNY bonds, including bonds issued under the old State University Dormitory Facilities Lease Revenue Bond Program and the new SUNY Dorm Program, in an aggregate amount not to exceed $440 million. Refunding candidates under the old SUNY Dorm program include the Series 2010A, Series 2011A, and Series 2012A bonds. Refunding candidates under the new SUNY Dorm program include Series 2013A, Series 2015A, and Series 2015B bonds. The refundings are expected to be issued on a taxable basis at one or more times. The final maturity of the refunding bonds will not exceed the final maturity of the bonds being refunded. The refundings are expected to generate net present value savings of approximately $20.9 million, or approximately 8.1% of the bonds being refunded. The SUNY Residence Hall program operates on 25 campuses and serves over 65,000 students on an annual basis. The Residence Hall program is a completely self-supporting program of SUNY, generating sufficient revenues to support its operations, annual maintenance, and debt service. The program is supported solely by the rents, fees, and charges of the dorm rentals. For fiscal year 2019, the SUNY dormitory facilities generated total revenues of approximately $618 million and total expenditures of approximately $375 million, which resulted in debt service coverage ratio of approximately 1.5 to 1. Pursuant to the Enabling Act, SUNY executed an assignment to DASNY of all rights in dormitory facilities revenues. SUNY is required to immediately deliver such revenues without appropriation to the Commissioner of Taxation and Finance for deposit into the Dormitory Facilities Revenue Fund. Monies are used first to pay debt service on the old SUNY dormitory bonds and then debt service on bonds issued under the new program. The amounts remaining in the fund after payment of debt service is the absolute property of SUNY to fund operations and maintenance of the dormitory facilities. And this will be the same financing under the new SUNY Dorms program. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
None here.
Tracy?
I just had
So-
one question. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. I saw that it's authorization to refund, all or a portion. I didn't know what the refunding savings analysis assumed in terms of, which issuances
Yeah.
would be refunded.
So-
Is it looking, yeah,
Sure. So the refundings analysis shows all of the bonds that meet the state's refunding criteria. And as of right now, it's portions of the Series 2012A bonds, Series 2013A bonds, Series 2015A, and Series 2015B bonds. The Series 2010A and Series 2011A bonds are listed as refunding candidates, but it's currently not expected that any of those bonds will be included in the refunding. Just the only thing that's remaining are the non-callable bonds for those two series. I don't know if that
Right.
answers your question, but.
It does. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. And the savings is spread out really throughout the whole, but
Yeah.
decent spread. Okay, can I please get a motion to recommend approval of this offering at tomorrow's full board meeting?
I move to recommend.
Thank you. Tracy, second. Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. That carries. Next up, tab 8. David's on for Columbia. Thank you, David.
Thanks. The Finance Committee is being asked to recommend to the full board one series of tax exempt and/or taxable fixed and/or variable rate bonds with terms not to exceed 30 years and an amount not to exceed $230 million on behalf of Columbia University. Bond proceeds will be used to refund all or a portion of the Columbia University Series 2011 A bonds. The 2011 A bonds are callable on or after April 1st, 2021. So the reason that we're coming to the Finance Committee and the board now is that the university may choose to utilize a forward delivery where the bonds would price as early as this March and then close on or after January 2nd of 2021 when the issue would qualify as a current refunding. So they may either choose the forward delivery or choose to hold off and do a current refunding. Assuming current market conditions, the total net present value savings in the range of $80.9 million or 36% of refunded bonds is expected from the refunding as shown in attachment 1. The university is currently rated triple A by both Moody's and S&P with stable outlooks from both rating agencies. And as in previous Columbia bond issues, this will be a general unsecured obligation of Columbia. The financial information that's presented in the staff report is really the same that was presented to the board in February, so I won't go through that information in detail. You remember that we came last month for a new money issuance, and Columbia will actually be in the market tomorrow with $150 million of new money bonds that we approved last month.
Yes. Thank you very much. Some big debt saving numbers. Any questions, concerns?
No, sir.
Tracy?
None here. None
Hearing
here.
none. Can I please get a motion to recommend approval of this offering at tomorrow's full board meeting?
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you for the second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. That carries. Last up, behind 9, tab 9, is the New York State School District Revenue Bond Financing Program. And David, you're up on that.
Thank you. The Finance Committee is being asked to recommend that the full board adopt the necessary documents to authorize multiple series of tax-exempt and/or taxable bonds in an amount not to exceed $500 million and be sold through multiple negotiated offerings on behalf of various New York State school districts. Proceeds from this authorization may be used to refinance the bond anticipation notes of various New York State school districts, to finance new money projects, or to refund bonds issued through the school district's program. As in previous years, staff is requesting the authorization to meet current demand from districts for a pool of financing closing in June, as well as to accommodate additional demand that could occur later in the year. Participation in the June pool is expected to be slightly lower than the past couple of years, as interest rates have declined in relation to the statewide average. So you might recall this discussion from previous years. The statewide average rate that's used for the building aid reimbursement for the school districts is based on the previous year's interest rates. So school districts, when they issue on their own, receive building aid based on the statewide average. So that's beneficial if they can issue below that rate from the previous year. School districts that issue through DASNY receive building aid based on their actual cost of borrowing. So it's less beneficial in a declining interest rate environment. So that being said, the last 2 years we've requested $750 million. We're back to the usual $500 million. And based on the reaction from the financial advisors and interest rates have been moving so much, it's been hard to gauge the size of the pool, but we're thinking more in the $300 million range this year. As opposed to, you might recall, in 2018, we had a $585 million deal. In 2019, it was $482.4 million. And the factors in those years were sort of the reverse of where they are this year. As far as the structure and security, this will be the same as the previous school district pools, which would be semi-annual payments made pursuant to financing agreements, backed by the full faith and credit general obligation bonds of the school districts, a statutory intercept through the state comptroller of any state aid due to participating school districts for debt service on DASNY bonds, and bond insurance if available and economically advantageous. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Questions?
Do you expect that there may well be bond insurance?
There has been in the past for certain maturities. You know, the pricing of the bond insurance has been so low that we have utilized it for the past 2 or 3 years, but we'll have to see for this year's pool.
Fine, thank you.
And each time they go back to the voters in the district, right, to obtain approval to actually proceed with the,
It's the same process where they,
process.
to issue their bonds on their own, it has to go through the voter approval process. They're approved by the state education department, and then they just make the determination whether or not to issue through us based on interest rates.
Gerard? I've got a numbering issue. I thought that when the school districts got building aid, they could bond for it, they had to do it on 15-year bonds. And these are 30-year.
The terms of the bonds for each school district varies. You know, some might be 5 years, some might be 15. There are some that do go out to 30 years, but it does vary by district.
how do they decide that? They just,
I think it's based on the project that they're financing. So, you know, some bricks and mortar built facilities might be, you know, qualify for 30-year bonds, and then obviously
Something-
others might be shorter.
Since they're all replacing roofs right and left.
they should have a special roof replacement bond program.
It's probably because they didn't put good ones on to begin with, so they're all wearing out at the same time.
Get what you pay for.
Exactly.
Anyway, well, thank you very much. Any other questions, or
Oh, sir.
Tracy? No?
None here, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I get a motion to recommend approval at tomorrow's board meeting? Thank you. Second, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. That motion carries. Unless anyone else has any questions or concerns for the Finance Committee, I'll look for a motion to adjourn. Thank you.
So moved.
Second, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We concluded our finance.